So, but we're going to cover. So let me see if you can see my screen. So you can see my screen. We are going to cover what is technical writing, the goal of technical writing life cycle, writing ethics, and subject matter experts. So, but let me say for now, at least writing ethics is okay, but maybe we can have a touch of little subject matter experts. So I know most of us we know what technical writing is, but I will just try to start afresh. So this is more like a course I'm building. So, and I believe this classes will also help me finish it up. So technical writing is writing about a technical issue rather than a specialized technical topic. Now, what it means is that you have a fridge or you have a microwave or you have your phone and your phone is spoiled and you're having an issue with it and you actually know how to resolve that. But the question is, how can you write that in a way somebody else will know how to solve that problem? That is the technical issue. So that is where technical writing comes in. So you're writing a technical guide, you're writing a technical article that would help somebody know how to resolve that issue or know how to do one task or the other. So that is technical writing in a nutshell. So which is the domain expert and specialist. So which means in technical writing, you must be an expert in that domain, or you might also be a specialist. So which means that if you don't have a very good knowledge of what you're writing about, so you shouldn't write because you're going to write a mess. So going forward, we'll still learn more about that. Now, the key characteristics of a technical writer, which is very, very important. So I'll try to just be quick about that because I want the last session to be more of questions you have in mind, both what we talked about today and any other aspect of technical writing. So one key characteristic is clear, which means that your technical writing article should convey information in a clear and concise manner, which means it allows minimal chances of misunderstanding. People that like to write so many things, that would cause confusion. You're writing your technical articles, you want somebody to bring dictionary close by. That would be a problem. So try to make it short and straightforward. Technical writing is not storytelling kind of writing. You're just telling me, how can I do this? Okay, how can I operate an iPhone X? Or probably how can I open my Safari browser in an iPhone X phone? What you tell me, click here, this does this, go here and click this button. When you go here, this does this, and get to the browser, click the browser and use the browser. That is technical writing. Not telling me stories. Then simple to comprehend, which is understand. Effective technical writers avoid using terminologies that people may not comprehend. Almost same thing with the first point. You want to write something, you want to make sure you use all the big words. It's not necessary in technical writing. Technical writing, you always try to use very simple words that would not cause confusion. So imagine you're learning React or you're learning JavaScript, and when you go to the documentation, you find out that you need to have your dictionary close by before you can even read one full sentence, which is not good. So that would scare away, potential developers and users. So the third point is very well organized. So this style of writing requires a clear structure that allows readers to follow easily. That's why when you go to some technical documents or articles, you see after explaining few things, you get to see step one, step two. That is telling you that it's well organized, trying to let the user know that, okay, this is how you can get from here to here. Then you have some persons that might not use step one and step two, but they will explain that with the following points, which means whatever point you see that is bold is talking about what that statement says with the following points. So you have several ways to convey your message to make it well organized. Then detailed. So your technical writing is extremely thorough. Technical writing itself is technical, so it should be thorough. Whatever step you take when achieving a particular goal, don't miss out in writing it. Because imagine you writing your own article and you come back and you're also confused. So you can imagine how confused your users will be. Now you're supposed to write a particular step. That also happens to the software engineers. You're supposed to write a particular step, and you felt that this would take me so much time to write. This would take me so much time to start thinking of what to do. Let me skip it. Don't skip it, my sister, my brother. Don't, because that is the most valuable point in technical writing. Attention to details. So make sure whatever you think that wants to make you to feel very tired, fight against such spirits and write it, because you're trying to help somebody, and you're also trying to, either if you're working for a company, you're helping them to chase away their customers. Because I'm following, I don't know if you've tried where you're following step by step guide and you go to one step and you're totally confused. You don't even know whether you've arrived at that point or not. Because why? The information there is not clear for you to understand. So they're not detailed enough. Probably the person must have felt tired and like skipped that point and said, I don't think I need to put this in, I'm really tired. Always make sure whatever step you take, whatever information that would make the user understand that, don't fail to add it. Pay very good attention to details. Then you have focus on the problem solving. Like I said, technical writing is not any kind of writing. It's a goal oriented. No, your goal is trying to fix a problem. And what is that problem? Either you're making the user to understand that issue, or giving the user a guide to solve that problem, not trying to start explaining so many things. Technical writing does not give room for so much explanation. Make it small. If you want to give that deep, they have some sections of writing, but technical writing, you're trying to hit the nail on the head. Now, straightforward. This sort of writing is simple. It's not having so many things. How can I do this? Click here, and click there. You're done. You're trying to make it as simple as possible. Make it straightforward. Don't try to bring in unnecessary explanations to what you're doing. If you're explaining about a particular thing, make sure your article is within that range. Don't try to bring in some other examples that does not correlate with it, or other examples that will make it too long. Like I say, technical writing is more about being technical. So you're not trying to tell us so much stories. When you're adding so much stories, then that is no longer a technical article. It's probably some other article, but not technical article. So then the next point for us to talk about is the goal of technical writing. So let me try to go this way. Now, every piece of writing has a goal. Some types of writing tell a tale, stories, and all that, while others express the writer's idea. But technical writing's primary goal is to convey complicated information to the readers so that they can comprehend and use it. So you built a hello world. Okay, let's say you built a to-do, like to-do app is very, very, very popular in React. Now, you've solved the problem by creating a to-do app that will help somebody, write or whatever they want to do for that day. Now you build that app in React. Now you want to write it in a way somebody else will understand how to build that same app. Building the app is complicated already, but now you're trying to write it, and in technical writing, you're trying to make that complicated information, trying to make it as simple as possible, as easy for anybody to understand. Try to put yourself in the shoes of users. If I should use these big words while explaining this, if I see this somewhere else, will I be happy? If you ask yourself most questions when you're writing, trust me, you would beat your conscience and try to make it very good. So that's the reason why they always say that, it's not always good to allow engineers to QA their own tax, because you would QA that tax with your conscience. I guess I've tried. Let me just move this ticket to done. I guess I've tried. Maybe I can come back to this in the next 3 months or thereabouts. But when you give it to a QA engineer, the QA engineer will take his time, go through it, and bring out all the errors and all the bugs and present to you for you to solve that. So try to make it as, when you have those complicated information and technical writing, your work is just to make that complicated information to be simple to anybody that wants to read that. Now, even if they have no prior knowledge of the subject, now you can imagine, like, I don't understand it, but just reading that your guide, I understand what React is. I understand what to do next. But maybe I don't want to do it but you've shown me that this is how to do it, this is what it is, and these are the steps I can take to do it. And I'm not a programmer, but I know what to do and I know what React is. So what helped me is your technical article. And the article or your guide now, you looked at a complicated topic. Sorry, let me. So you looked at a complicated topic and made it very, very simple. Now, technical writing describes how to, sorry guys. So technical writing describes how to use a certain object or complete a task or a project. It is aimed at readers looking for precise information. I want to learn React. I'm looking for a documentation that will help me explain that. I want to learn JavaScript. I want to learn Java. I want to learn blockchain. I want to learn Ethereum. I want to learn Go Ethereum. You go to the documentation, you go get it. So that is what it is all about. Now, technical writing must be clear, like I explained before, concise, simple for the target audience to understand. Technical writing should be technical. Don't make technical writing turn to storytelling. It shouldn't be like that. So the next point we'll talk about is technical writing lifecycle. We have software development lifecycle. Even we humans, we have our own lifecycle. So plants, they have their lifecycle. So technical writing also has a lifecycle. Now the lifecycle starts from requirement to design, to develop, to edit, publish, then maintain. So let's talk about the points one after the other. So we have the requirement analysis being the first and most critical component of the DDLC. So the technical writers examine the project requirements. So when you want to start an article or you want to start a documentation site, what you should probably think about is, the requirement of that project, the tools. So if you want to build a documentation, you ask yourself, so do I need to use Docker code or do I need to use non-Docker code? Do I need to work with Markdown or just work with plain text? So that is the requirement stage. You're thinking of the other things, the tools you need, and you're also having in mind your target audience too. So this documentation or this article, is it meant for experts, beginners, or intermediate? So this stage is very, very critical. So if you miss out this stage, if you make mistake in this stage, that is where you miss it out. So this stage is very critical because you want to write an article and you need to communicate with your engineers in your company. Now you'll be asking questions. So this article, is it for beginners or for intermediate? So you get to understand how to channel that article. So for me as a senior, if I read an article that is not meant for me most times, you might get annoyed because you're seeing too many explanations that are not necessary to you. You just be skipping and you're just looking for that stage that you need help on. So try to know your target audience, which means the requirement stage is very, very, very important. Then you have the design phase. So this covers the content representation and gathering, such as how the content should be displayed, which document format should be used, how many pages need to be covered to meet the requirements. So we have the subject matter experts. So you meet them or internet to make your research, gather more knowledge about that technology. After you've gotten everything you want to start with, now you've known what you want to do, you still make more preparation on the design phase. So which means you collect much information you want. So when you're done with information, the next stage comes in where you start writing. So developing the content. Then you start writing or building your documentation. You're sure of what you're doing now. Now, when you're done with that stage, the next phase that comes in is the editing, or you call it proofreading. So that is done by another technical writer or probably anybody that is competent enough. So you give the person what you have done, so they will go through it, make some changes, check for spelling errors, grammatical errors, syntax problem, formatting issues, and if everything is fine, you move to the publish stage. But if everything is not fine, you get back to making changes. So you go back and make edits and submit back again for them to review. Then if it's okay, then you publish your content for the world to see. Now you've published your content, you can still go back because there are certain things that might be outdated. Let's say you are writing about a tool. Now the tool, when you wrote about the tool was version 1.0. So when the tool gets to version 2.0, which means there are certain things that have changed. So you need to go back. That is where the maintain stage comes in. So you need to go back to your document, make your changes again. Now the stage this time around starts from here. You make your changes at the developing stage, submit for proofreading, and they return it. Hey, make this, add that. When you're done, you publish. So if there are needs for exchange, if there are needs for making changes again, you still go back to the maintain stage. So this is how it works. Now, also your project manager will also try to design the board to have this life cycle. So it will be very easy. So this is how you have it in your Jira board or any board you work with. You have your to do, you have your blocked, you have your in progress. When you're done with it, you move it down for review. And if there are issues, they move it back to do for you. And if it's okay, move it down to review for project manager, then down to done. So that is the life cycle. So then we go over to the next point, which is writing ethics. So writing ethics is something I know many people fail that a lot. So in technical writing, ethics is a set of rules or standard for using resources when writing a technical document. Also, it means telling the truth and offering correct information. So it's a set of rules. I want to use this. There are rules you should follow before using this. I want to write this. There are rules you should follow before writing this. So that is what we call ethics in technical writing. Now, as professional writers, you should know the writing standard and obey them. So listing it here, we have one. Use credible sources when adding content to your document. If you want to add a content, you should be very sure that the source you're getting that content from is very credible. It's just not any person that wakes up in the morning and writes something and you're not sure, you'll just copy and like drop it there. Now, don't present false information. If you know that this is not good, don't do it. If you know that these steps are not there, they are not valid, don't put it. Then show respect to others when you try to write. And there are words that are not allowed in technical writing. I stand to be corrected. We have some words that are harsh, like you must. Using that word must, pushes lots of people away. So you try to show respect. Then please don't use any ideas from others without mentioning or crediting them, which is plagiarism. It's a very popular word. So if you know you're getting something from somewhere, any source, make sure you credit them. And there are ways you do that, although we don't have much time to talk about that here. There are ways you do that. You try to make sure you give credit to this person. Even in images, you use my image, use somebody's image, try to add it in the caption, image from so person, or you put the link of the website. So you give credit to those that created the image, give credit to those that, took their time to construct that sentence or construct that whole document or thereabout. So you don't just pick up somebody's idea, paste it. Okay, imagine I say, okay, write about this topic, and when you're done writing, you collected everything from almost everywhere and you gave it to me. This is what I wrote. Now that is wrong. So we have so many tools that can check for plagiarism. Like Grammarly does that, copy capes, copy paste does that too. Now these are the two probably I would say good tools that I know that can check very well for you. So imagine you give that to me and I check and everything is just showing 100% plagiarism. That is not good. Now, don't ask for permission and document the source. Okay, you're coming to me, please, can I just take this? And you said, okay, you can just take this line. And the next thing is I'm seeing my whole article. I'm like, you told me you want to take this line and you're taking everything. So it's not good. Now, be correct and honest in your writing. If you're not sure, don't write. Writing is just like being in the medical ward. Medical doctors, they don't assume. For no reason would they assume. If you get to the hospital, and if you go to the hospital most of the time, once you get there, doctor, I'm feeling sick, I'm doing this, he would say, or he or she would say, okay, write some things down, go and run tests. So that he will be sure that, okay, this is malaria, this is typhoid, this is stomach ulcer, this is whatever. Same with writing, because whatever you're writing here, somebody is reading and digesting, which means if you're giving somebody false information, that is wrong. If you're not sure and you're giving somebody wrong information and you're not honest about what you're writing, you're passing the wrong information to somebody, and which is not good. Now, don't manipulate data or statistics. You're writing about something, let's say something about weather, and you know this is the actual value in the statistics. You just want to go and manipulate it yourself, change the values, change the data so it will suit what you want to do. It's not good. So these are the, I know probably we have other ethics in writing too, but these are the little ones I could think of and coin up. So, try to make sure you know the rules and try to follow the rules. And the more like this particular rule, plagiarism is the one I know so many people fail. You're going through, you get to see person copied from here and copied from here without crediting the owner. And this most of the time, if somebody decides to sue you, you'll be in a big problem. Thank God we have a lawyer in the house, so she can tell you more about you failing something like this. You'll be in a big shame. So try not to copy what somebody have written without crediting them. The best is to read, try to understand, and write it in your own way. How you understand it is better. More like just copy and you paste. It's not good. Now, if you go to apply to some companies and they give you a task, okay, write about this and this, and you go online with the topic and you see one content available with everything, you're like, praise be to God. You copy everything like that, bam, verbatim, you didn't change A, you didn't change B, and you submitted, and the next thing is they didn't take me because they don't like me. No, nobody wants to take anybody that doesn't want to write from their own head, that is just always ready to get something from somewhere without even trying to understand what they're getting. So, okay. Okay, so now let's talk about this one, subject matter expert. So, subject matter expert is an individual with a deep understanding of a particular job, process, department, function, or technology, or anything you want to call it, but the person is an expert. So now the question is, how can you be a subject matter expert? So first thing is you ask yourself why you want to become a subject matter expert of that particular field. Yeah, I want to be a technical writer. First question is, why do you want to be a technical writer? If you can ask yourself that question and you can answer that yourself, that would help you in that journey. So maybe as I drop this question, maybe you can ask yourself right now, why do I want to be a technical writer? And try to answer it yourself, and maybe you can analyze the answer later. Now, choose something you're passionate about. When you ask yourself the question, you'll be sure if it's something you like or not. Now, if you're not passionate about something, it will be difficult for you to give that in so much time. Most especially when you're being forced, just like back then when our parents always tell us, be a lawyer, be a doctor, mechanical engineer, oil this and oil that. We know we don't like that, but our parents are just pushing us. Most of the times you might not even do so well because that is not what you're passionate about. So most of us like football, just keep them in the field and watch them play. You see how well they will do because they like what they're doing. So you need to be passionate about something. So choose what you know you're passionate about. That could help you make you a subject matter expert in that field. Assess your strength. You know your strength. You know your weakness. So you check your strength. Do I have strength in technical writing? Do I have weakness in technical writing? So you compare and contrast, and with your strengths, you follow your strength. But you can also work on your weaknesses, but follow your strengths because that is where you have upper hand. Then research about the industry. I want to be a web developer, mobile engineer. I want to be a machine learning engineer, a blockchain engineer. Make so much research about that industry. Then you determine the amount of time you need. Do I need 3 months? Am I ready for 3 months? Can I give 3 months to learn this? Can I give 6 months to learn this? And try not to rush yourself because that is where you have problem. So if you give yourself that time, okay, I think I can take 3 months to learn this. I can take 6 months to learn this. That could help in the journey of becoming a subject matter expert. So have an expert of that field as your mentor. Oh, this thing, sorry. So you know this person is good in technical writing. You know this person is good in machine learning. You know this person is very, very good in the field you want to venture into. Have a mentor in that field. You know, so many footballers are always like, hey, we like Ronaldo because he does this, he's at a very top level. And why? Because they are learning a lot from him. They are seeing the success or who's not around him, or what probably the success stories and every like you can't when it comes to football, there is no way you mention anybody, you don't mention Ronaldo. So imagine you having Ronaldo as your mentor. Trust me, you will definitely go far. So then practice makes perfect. So with everything with everything I've mentioned so far, if you don't practice any, you're not going anywhere. So you want to be a technical writer, I have a mentor, I've known the amount of time, I've made research, I've checked my strength. My strength is in technical writing, and I have the passion, and I've asked myself the question, I think I'm ready. Now, start writing from today. So when you start writing, if you remove this last step, every other thing is like rubbish. So with everything, you're not trying to write, you've not even trying to write, you've not started to write, make mistake, learn from your mistake and grow, then you cannot be a subject matter expert. Now, in technical writing too, you have the area where you also need to be a subject matter expert. So many companies always like engineers being technical writers than having just normal English, people that know English to be technical writers. Reason is because most of the times you probably test things yourself. So technical writers generally are QA writers because before you write, you assess that tool or that project. You try to make and break it. You try to check for faults because you're learning about that tool before you write it. So that makes you a QA writer. The work of QA is to look for fault, look for issues in what you're doing. So they're acting like the users in the company, making sure that the users don't catch any mistake or any bug in the tool or in the project. So you're doing same, but yours is after everything you will not write about it. But the QA will not write. The QA will just submit every issue to the engineers to work. But yours is you will start writing about everything. So you have to practice. You have to practice and practice. So I guess I will stop it here for today. Then in our next class, we'll talk about other topics in technical writing. So any questions? Hello, any question? Can drop it in the chat.
Hi, Wisdom. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Thank you so much for sharing. I actually gained a lot from it. And I want to ask this. You mentioned something about normal English writers praising like technical documentation and why companies prefer the actual engineers to create the documentation instead. So, like, if a content writer was trying to transition into technical writing, so would they have to learn the actual skills? Because a lot of people like mention content writing as part of like how you can work in tech without actually programming or coding. So what do you think?
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much for that question. Yeah, so that question it's a very, very important question. Now, like I said, most companies prefer engineers because the engineers will really understand more about what they're writing about. Because let's say you're working in a software, look, we have tech company and your company is building a software using JavaScript and you don't know JavaScript. So which means you have to bug the engineers and the engineers will probably explain the way they understand it and you will just probably maybe make some research and maybe try to do it the way you understand it. But you're not doing it because you have done it yourself. There is difference between I want to cook a goosey soup and I cooked the soup myself than I watched video and somebody told me about egusi soup, then I will write from what they told me. There are two ways to that. So if you do it yourself, you can write from your own knowledge. You can write from how you understand what you did. So they like engineers because engineers will do it themselves. Okay, maybe write an article about this CLI tool. You need to know how to work with terminals, how to go into the CLI and run one or two CLI commands. Now, coming from a field that is not too technical, it will take you so much time to start learning those technical skills. Now, you just need the basics, not like you need everything. You need the basics. But being an engineer, which means you have crossed the basics, so the company will be very much happy that you get to do it yourself. Now, in my company, sometimes I will even run a React. I'm not even a React engineer, but I will run a React code, go to the CLI and try to run one or two CLI, go to the APIs and run APIs, test the APIs in my web browser, use console to do that, to understand the result before I start writing. But a non-engineer would not do that. But even if they want to do that, it will take them time because they have a lot to learn before they can do that. So that is just the major point why most companies prefer engineers. It's okay, no need of teaching them this. They've crossed this part, so it's just for them to give them what they need, few things they need, and they will do it. Now, when you have a non-technical person writing, being hired as a technical writer, the engineers would always suffer because you always 247. You want to always need their attention. You're having meetings on and off with them because when they give you, okay, this, I did that, you write it down and record the call. Then when you go on your own, you watch it and I don't think I understand this thing very well. Let me have a call with him again. You go back again and that process would take more time for you to put out a very good technical content. It will take you like few weeks instead of taking you days compared to when a very technical person does that. So that is the reason why most companies prefer software engineers to be technical writers than just non-technical people. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes, thank you. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah, no, if you have like 5 more, you ask. We'll all learn.
Thank you. Okay, so like with what you explained, it looks like technical writing is limited to professional documentation that is relating to API and the rest. So like if I was writing about software development, web development, and like technical terms and everything, is that technical writing?
As long as you have you're writing about a technical issue, it is technical writing. So technical writing is you writing about a technical issue, giving people guide, description on how to solve a problem. So that is technical writing. It's not mainly based on API documentation. API documentation is just one side. And not all companies let technical writers handle API documentation, and which can be generated from the code base. And you can use Node.js to generate that. So, but technical writing is you have a technical problem and you want to write an article or a document that would help your users know how to resolve that problem. So that is technical writing. Now we have different kind of guides. We have like the troubleshooting guide, we have the installation guide, we have the user manual, and we have, I guess I've forgotten, but we have some other guide again. We have integration guide and some other guides too. So these are areas where technical writers, come in to write all these guides. And what do they do? You're just giving them step by step, guide on how to achieve that. How can I operate my phone? You explain my phone, explain what to do and how to operate my phone. That is a technical document. You bought a new fridge and you're having that little manual to show you how to use your fridge. That is the technical manual. So that is technical writing. So whatever you would write to explain something for somebody to know how to do that step, that is technical writing.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. So another question. Okay, I have one. Must I know how to build software projects?
Question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not a blog.
I
To write like tutorials for web, you need to know how to build some of these projects. So is it possible to write about these tutorials, like about these complex blockchain projects without knowing how to build them?
Yes, it's very, very possible that you can write about what you have not used. So I explained that there in that case, you would have an engineer that is ready to give you his or her time, because you get to ask questions upon questions. They will get to answer your questions. They might even give you a section where they build it from scratch, so you get to understand before you can write it. So, but it is beneficial to the company when you already know how to do that. Now, for me, at least, technical writers should know the basics of software engineer, just the basics, like not like asking for too much. Just if you want to write about HTML, know the basics of HTML. If you want to write about JavaScript, know the basics of JavaScript. Same with blockchain, same with any other software related topic. So did I answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. I have a question.
Yep.
Okay. From what you said, um, I actually got a few things but my network was having issues. So, but I want to thank you for sharing and actually like how you bring the research. So, my first, yes, I just concluded with technical writing first. This week. I was on Monday. So I I I've been absent for questions and I keep getting them out and tell you start writing, write about what interests you, write this, write that. But I okay, if I want to start writing about what do I what do I write about? Like is there a place where you go to get ideas on what to write about or something? Just start that I don't understand that aspect of star writing, look for what interests you, write about it. Like how do I do this again? And then it says right, so you could build a portfolio, so share with your employers or use it to whatever. So I'm also asking how I know you have to write video portfolio, but then the issue now is to start writing.
Okay.
How do you actually write about what okay, I don't know if you understand me. I'm trying to explain it.
Okay, yeah. So if I understood,
I'm trying to explain it to you the way it's
yeah. I guess if I understand you correctly, you're talking about you're done with a course and you want to start doing what you read about, and
yes,
the advice you got is start writing, write about what you like. Okay.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so when just like when you're done with school, what is expected of you is start working, start making money, because you went to school to learn how to do one field or the other, that you start once you're out, you start working. So when you're done, or when you want to start in technical writing, so like I explained earlier, you know one, you know your strengths, you follow your passion, then your passion can lead you wherever you want to go to. Now, the start writing is probably a very good advice. Anybody would give that advice. That advice, start writing and start writing. So it's something that is very good. Now, when you're done, if you don't write, you know, you probably, how am I going to put it? Like, if you don't write it, you look like you probably forget. Just like most of us say, if you bring those elementary maths we learned in primary schools and all that, you might even forget the steps because you did not you stopped doing them. So when you're done, pick a topic you like about and just write about it. Have that love for writing because that would propel a lot. Now, going down to the next question about the job aspect, if you don't have what to show, nobody will hire you. And most technical writers don't have so much experience in companies, but they have what to show. Now, when I got my first technical writing job, I don't have that massive experience, but I have what to show. I have written for Drive.dev as so many other writing agencies, and I've had so many personal um, articles I've written about Firebase, Android, several topics that are on Medium. I wrote about them, and also built a documentation from scratch. I will share that after this talk. So when I showed them that, they were like, wow, we think you think you're a good fit, and that was it. But some will go as far as checking your emails, checking your LinkedIn, sorry, and you're taking time to go through your resume. But most want to see that you have written an article that is live, you have built a documentation from scratch. I also have a sample API documentation I built just for applying. You need to do all that. Now, imagine I didn't build that to start with. I won't even know how to do it. So, which is always good that write and build, make mistake, correct yourself, attach yourself to a mentor. When you write, help me go proofread and help me check through this, and that would help you grow. So let me just share my Medium account so probably you can go and see the articles I've written. Yeah,